Alright, hello, Mark Session again, and we will attach clothing and other parts to the figure. So clothing, an example with the hat, which one is a little bit of a special situation. So let me start first with the modifier data transfer and choose order. And what we want to transfer is we want to steal the existing skinning data from the mesh. So vertex groups, nearest vertex, and the source mesh is this one, so the eddy mesh. And what else we don't have? Oh yeah, we have the vertex groups now, so generate data layers name and you have the vertex groups. Okay, what more? We definitely need an armature modifier, so let me go and hit armature and change the order as well, and preserve volume may be good. Pick the item. So here's the rig, the armature, and look what it makes. Okay, perfect. And the visibility in here. So if we change the order, is it better now? Yes. Okay, so there we are. Okay, and here we have the vertex groups. Now let me see what we have in the weight paint session. So we don't need all of these vertex groups, of course. We don't need a toe, so let me hit on minus, and I'm looking for the color. So basically just body stretch. The body stretch is, it may affect the thing. The body stretch is this one, but we don't want to keep it in play. The arms and other things are not forearm, upper arm, no. Ear, of course, we have the ears there. We don't want to play the ear section 2. This is the right ear section 2. That part is, we are not interested to have those. We definitely want the ear one, the first one, just to keep the deformation neat around the hole. There is a hole cut in here in the hat. All right, so, and it's 2. This was also not needed. So basically we need the head stretch thing, the effect of that bone and vertex group, and we want these. Now, okay, let me see it in action. So just select the armature and go to pose mode and see what happens if we select the root, for example. Double R. Okay, this is not nice. We have a little bit of a conflict. And okay, what is if we are selecting this head stretch? That's working fairly okay, although there is a little bit of a confusion. So with here view, we don't need the x-axis mirror. Double R for a ball joint, and this is really moving too many vertices, so we have to clean that up. Okay, let me R reset this guy and look for the vertices, the vertex paint. Okay, so go back to object mode, select the figure, go back to weight paint mode, and select the head stretch. And the first thing is we want to Control F is the strength. So just yeah, we are in blur. That's not really the good deal. Okay, let me press right click. So weight, everything is fine, 100%. Okay, something is off here. Right. Alright, so we have the armature, and so to paint with the vertex groups, now this is, we can really paint at this moment because we have the data transfer here as still exists as the separated modifier. We have to press Ctrl A above this, or apply. So now this one is applied, and we can check back to the head stretch, and now we have these. Everything's fine. Symmetry here is on, so that works in the tool section, and we want to basically consume everything. All right, right click and you will show the you will see the settings. Simple F is the radius, Shift F is the strength, and Control F is the weight. Okay, so the weight is Control F. You can see how it affects, right? Okay, so let me highlight everything. And these ends, I'm not 100% sure. Even if it looks red, it doesn't mean it's perfect. And I will set this one, and we still have some influence on the vertices, as you see. So even if it's fully red, we still have some influence in here. So Control F and set it to 0, and want to remove these from the influence, all these areas, including that one as well. There are some tricks to make sure that you see which vertex has a value, even if it looks fully blue or fully red. You can customize the gradient that shows the weight, but that's not necessarily needed here because it's just a simple thing. So let me just make sure that the vertices around the hole are fully engaged. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. And Control F and just reduce fully. We don't want to influence these. And yes, we can use the blur a bit to even the values. Okay, and probably this one should be off. Okay, so there we are. Let me check the other side as well. It's working fine. This is mirrored head stretch. Head stretch is fully fine. Okay, it's time to check the work. So let me select this one. Go to pose mode. Select the head. So stretching looks quite okay. And these areas. Okay. So that looks nice. Let me turn on the view, the wireframe, because that helps a lot to understand the formation. So use it. Okay. This is works nicely. And I know I have used mirror, but still it may happen that some things are not perfectly mirrored. So I have this movement in here. Let me select the other end and see there is also a little bit of a movement. Okay, so just A, Alt R, Alt G, everything is reset. Go back to object mode and go back to weight paint mode and select the ears and Control F, make sure it's 0, F is resized, and now I'm removing this tone. There was a slight coloration, so let me select this one as well just to make sure. And also the opposite, this one is 1, and just to make sure everything is tied to the head stretch. Okay, let me leave this now and go back to edit mode, select the mesh and pose mode, and this G and move it around. That's fine. And this one is R, double R, and it moves around. And it's not really affecting that much the head. Okay, so if we have some kind of a motion here and there, that looks fairly okay. That's nice. Okay, so that is about the hat with a little bit of a painting, with a little bit of a troubleshooting. So that's how it goes. Okay, let me Alt R, reset this, select the figure, go to the modify and turn these back on. So now we have everything. If we check and move this guy, everything looks nice. So we have a decent stretching and moving hat attached to the figure, Alt G. Okay, so what's next? This one, we have the whip here, and this whip is what you have to take care of. Is first the pivot point of the hip of the whip is moved up. We have the hotkey Control and dot. Basically, that is the transform origins. This is a hotkey that's rarely used, but it's really handy once you have to use it more and more. There we are. So this is positioned and rotated, and as you see, the whip is modeled to have a kind of a natural curve. What else do we want? We want to hang it at a specific spot, and we want to be able to deform. Okay, so this is not a simple skinning stuff. We want to deform it. So what we do need is we want to build up a kind of a mini rig for this one. So let me select this guy and isolate it, and just Shift S and cursor to select it. So jump the 3D cursor there, and we are in object mode. So Shift A and armature single bone, and definitely let me select this and hit scale. Excuse me, individual origins, scale it, and it's much better, but we are off already, so now it works fine. Okay, that's it. Let me look at this and rotate as well. So rotate it around, and yep, and scale it up slightly to make a match in here. Okay, so look at from front, and R's rotation, look at from the top. That looks nice. Look at from left and right. Looks great. Okay, so we need a single bone. This will be a squash and stretch bone. I will not go into naming or anything like that because it's fairly simple, but this should be renamed as whip armature, and this is the def bone, and that will be the deformation bone, stretchy bone. Okay, so we are in the front view, selecting this guy, extrude a little bit of a bone that will be used as a kind of a control. We will stretch this bone to this. We will stretch the main bone to this one, deformation bone. Okay, looking nice. Edit mode, Alt P, and disconnect, and clear parent. So now these are independent. So if I'm using G, it will move it as it is. So what else do we need? We need this bone to be duplicated. That's Shift D, and move it back. Shift S and selection to cursor. So and scale it down. So now we have this little bone. Okay, nice. That will be a kind of rotation bone. That would be actually our master. This is the deformation bone. So what we have to take care of is deformation. So selecting this one, shift selecting the other bone, going into pose mode, and Control Alt C, and create a stretch to connection. So what does it mean? When we are in here and we're stretching out, the bone is stretching, and when we are attaching the 3D model to the bone, the model will stretch again with it. The problem with this is rotation, so you can't really rotate nicely and move everything in a normal way. So what we have to do is we want to set this up. Okay, now this bone will be linked to this one. Okay, let me hide this M and put it on a different layer. So this one is selected, and this one, go back to pose edit mode, this one and this one, these are linked. Keep offset, and this bone, select this one and selecting this, and just this one is selected, holding that, showing back. Now we have the selection. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky. Okay, and Control P and keep offset. So what does it mean? When we are selecting this guy, let me hide this. So we are in pose mode. R, it rotates normally, and of course this bone should follow. All right, so we are in pose mode, and let me just Alt R, and here we are. Okay, so the rig is working. And of course this one is moving. It will move the whole thing together. Okay, perfect. Now what else? We need some kind of a controller. We don't want to see this deformation bone, but before we're turning this off, let me attach the things. So select the guy, and what we do want is select the armature and go to pose mode, select the actual bone we want to link to, and Control P, and that will be a bone type of connection. So that's where we are. Okay, and if we are testing this, G, now it stretches and moves as expected. And if we have this bone hidden, and this one is selected, and we are rotating this around, the whole thing moves. Okay, so that is our goal. Now Alt R, Alt G, Alt R, Alt G, and great. Okay, so we need a few controllers, widgets for this. One widget will be Shift A. I'm sorry, we are in pose mode. Shift A, and mesh and circle. And who? This was huge. Let me just narrow it down, and Control A, and scale is reset. Let me just move it away. We don't want to disturb this. And Shift I, and we need a mesh cube. And this is huge as well. So let me just dial this down and move it. And Shift S, and Control A, and scale, reset. Maybe this one should be a little bit smaller. And Control A and scale. We can edit this on the vertices. Let me just check that, and select these three, and these three, and these three, and we want to scale it, but scale it on scale it on bounding box center, so we can create this little thing. Then we'll go back to the individual origins, leave edit mode, there we are. And to attach the things in bone properties, custom object, so we want this circle widget. Of course it's not named, so if it's not named properly it will be harder to separate, but don't forget to name it. I just want to make it relatively fast. So scale to bone is usually not ideal, so let me turn it off, and I'm happy with the orientation as it is, but you can always change these values and rotations. So here we are. This will be the widget for where you are for this one. So selecting the bone, and the bone itself, we are in pose mode, excuse me, selecting this guy and hit custom object and look for this. And of course scale to bone is turned on, and if we turn if wireframe, it won't be that looking thing. And if you wish, you can actually select these two and create a new collection, and that would be VIP widget. Wow, what's the name? VIP widget. Whip. Okay, perfect. So whip widget. Okay, right. Now let me just hide this and test this. So if we are in pose mode, if we select this and move it away, everything will move it away. If we are rotating this, everything will be rotating. This one moving, stretching, perfect. So we can create some basic dynamics, and as well, so this one is perfect. Let me do this. All right, so select Control A, everything, Alt R, Alt G. That's nice. Okay, so here we are, our preparation, we have it. And now what we want to do is, let me hide away this armature. So we are still in pose mode. This armature should be hidden for now. And we want to connect this armature and the figure. Now, because the figure is deforming and doing so many things, it will be a little bit hard. So let me select these two guys first, isolate them. So now it's just the this little armature. This marks the center. We have a vertex, and we want to attach to the vertex. So armature selected, shift, selecting the figure, and yeah, we're in edit mode. And in edit mode, just let me pick this single vertex and Control P and make vertex parent, and just leave that mode. And of course we want to get back the rig and everything. Now this is a little bit, it's plenty of things going on, so Now let me just test this. Go to pose mode, select this guy, and move it away. And as you can see how the whip is moving with it. So when you're doing the primary animation, you can animate normally, and yeah, we can adjust the head, rotate everything around. If the belly is selected, wow, that moves nicely. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So this is not, basically it's not skinned, and that's an advantage. You don't have to worry too much. So if you have a tiny thing, you can link it with or parent it with a vertex relation. That's a good point. And on top of that, you can even create a small rig to animate it if it's an earring, for example. So that could be used. You just don't need a stretch basically to do that. Okay. Now, what else? To test the model individually, you can leave pose mode for this one and select the model, and for secondary animation, enter in pose mode, and then you can just make that animation happen. And of course, you can attach a belt, and that's better if you just attach it separately, or being creative, you can actually just paint it on a figure, depending on the situation. But just giving some ideas about how to rig and attach props to a figure. Okay, thank you very much. See you next time. Goodbye.